So what is sliding scale insulin? People who have been taking insulin, perhaps they know um, what is sliding scale and why they use it. Usually, the doctors will give you um, a range of blood sugar, pre-meal blood sugar, and depending on the range, you're supposed to take a certain amount before your meal. So I'm gonna put in correct perspective here, and let me just go through this completely so that it's very clear. So is a way to adjust insulin dose based on current blood glucose levels before meal. That is the whole thing about sliding scale. And it's called sliding because dose slides up and down depending on your blood sugar before eating. And this helps to bring the glucose, the pre-meal glucose, closer to the target. Also, it helps to control post-meal blood sugar spike. So there are two purposes. One is to bring the pre-glucose level closer to normal and also anticipate what would be the post-meal blood sugar 2 hours later, which is 2 hour postprandial, and helps to bring the peak of that blood sugar down. So how does pre-meal blood sugar affect post-meal blood sugar, which is 2 hours later? The pre-meal value is a starting point of your post-meal curve. So you have a pre-meal, and then you eat your food, and 2 hours later it peaks. That's your peak blood sugar, and then it starts coming down. So think about approximately 4 hours after you eat. Just before that is your pre-meal, and for 4 hours the blood sugar goes up and then goes down. That's the total duration. Now, of course, it can vary, but the average is 4 hours. Keep it that way. So if meal value is the starting point of your post-meal curve, after eating, glucose rises up depending on what you eat, carbohydrate content, your glycemic index of food, and the insulin timing and the dose, and the muscle activity and insulin sensitivity. All these factors really makes the difference, you know. So after eating, glucose rises, and that will depend upon your carbohydrate content, glycemic index of the food, how quickly it gets absorbed, and insulin timing and dose. If you are on insulin, of course, and muscle activity and insulin sensitivity. If you are not on insulin, we're not going to be talking about the sliding scale anyway. So, if pre-meal blood sugar is already high, say 180, right? So even a modest meal can push your post-meal levels more than 250. But if your pre-meal sugar is normal, say 100, the same meal might only rise to 160, 170. So that would be healthy range. Hence, a pre-meal blood sugar determines the launch point to the post-meal peak. If the pre-meal blood sugar is lower, of course, post-meal peak is going to be lower, and vice versa. Why pre-meal glucose determines the sliding scale? Because the sliding scale insulin is corrective and is meant to neutralize the pre-existing elevation of blood sugar close to normal before the new glucose comes in form of food. So if pre-meal sugar is high, you'll need more rapid insulin to counteract both, to bring it down and also to cover the upcoming carbs from your food, which will push the blood sugar up. So it has to take care of two things, the pre-meal blood sugar and also a post-meal surge. So sliding scale insulin is corrective, and is meant to neutralize the pre-existing elevation, and also helps to cover up or neutralize or counter the post-meal surge in sugar. And if the blood sugar is normal, then little or no correction is needed. So the pre-meal glucose level sets the insulin correction factor, ensuring post-meal sugar does not overshoot into hyperglycemia. So check frequency depends upon insulin use and glucose variability. Sliding scale corrective insulin based on current glucose and not fixed dosing. Pre-meal glucose predicts post-meal peak, hence sliding scales are tailored to it. So later on, your pre-meal dose of insulin will be changed or adjusted depending on your 2-hour post-meal blood sugar. Goal is to keep glucose between 80 to 130 gram before meals and less than 180 2 hours after meals. I wanted to give this coverage sliding scale I use. So if pre-meal blood sugar is less than 150, there is no coverage for rapid acting insulin like Novolog, Humalog. If it's between 150 to 200, usually 2 units, 200 to 250, 4 units, 251 to 300, 6 units, and more than 300, 8 units. So and the next is, so this is the video about sliding scale. And in this one, I also wanted to add why checking blood sugar 2 hours after meal, postprandial, because that reading tells you how well your body handled the glucose surge from the meal and how effectively your rapid acting insulin worked. It helps you understand if your mealtime short acting insulin dose was appropriate. If 2 hour sugar is more than 180, the meal or insulin dose was too high either or too low, if respectively, right? If it's less than 100, that means you probably took too much insulin or you did not eat enough carb. So how sensitive your body is to insulin. If your post-meal sugars are consistently high, that means you have insulin resistance or you are not getting adequate insulin coverage. If suppose they drop too low, that means you need less insulin and or slower acting carb. Diet timing and activity needs adjustment. If you exercise after meals, if you are doing portion control and our fiber intake, all affect post-meal glucose peak. So anytime you make your changes in your exercise activity or diet, and the dose has to be adjusted. 2 hour post-meal sugar affects insulin adjustment. So short-acting insulin, 2 hour glucose tells you whether your meal dose of insulin you took, the short-acting insulin, was the right dose or not. It can help to fine-tune pre-meal sliding scale doses. So that's really, really important. I'm gonna go more in details in the next video because I don't want this video to be large and long. Actually, it creates a problem. But I'm gonna have several videos trying to make you understand and empower with your knowledge. Thank you for watching.